Okay, so when you are in Meterpreter sessions after exploiting the system and getting to Meterpreter, there are a bunch of fun commands that we can run on the victim OS. So first, I'm going to type help here to check out what we can do using Meterpreter. I'm going to start here with the core commands. Now we can kill background script. I definitely don't want to do that right now, but we can go to exit the sessions, which will terminate the Meterpreter session. Now, in this case, the user or the victim would have to run the payload again in order for us to start the Meterpreter session one more time. All right, migrate. Here we are. You'll use migrate a lot, trust me. Not a lot in every session, but it does have essential jobs. So I'm going to show you in a little bit where to use migrate. But right now, we need to use stuff like get PID, or get system as an example. That is going to appear down here somewhere. We can see here a few commands that are related to Windows, like ipconfig, netstat, route, ARP. And now we can run all of these commands from within the Meterpreter to the Windows operating system. Now you see here, clear event. Clear event will clear everything to the viewer so no one will find out what happened on the system. Get PID will give us the current processed ID that we are using. So we are now connected to the operating system on a specific process here, and where we will get this command, the ID of the process. So get process ID, get privilege enables, all privileges enabled are available now to the current process, so get all privileges. Now this is very helpful, but one thing we got to do, we got to check something else that's more powerful. Shut down and reboot PS or running processes on the victim machine. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll down. Now this is something nice here, something I think is pretty cool. We can turn the victim machine into a spy. We can do that by using the mic and webcam to record. Now I prefer to always start with get system because right now the payload is running on the victim machine and giving me the Meterpreter session based on the user privilege. So maybe the user has some limitations. Maybe he is not an administrator, for example. So I'm going to try to get system privilege before running anything else within Meterpreter. Okay, I'm going to try to get system, and I got system via technique 1. Here it is. Okay, so this manuscript is running behind the scenes in the Meterpreter within Metasploit to give me the system privilege. We have that right now. So now if I type get PID, I'm going to see, there it is, my current PID is 1100. I can try to steal the token of PID. I'm going to hit enter and it will ask me to provide the PID, so I'm going to type 1100 and the username currently is admin. This is the computer name. Now another important command here is to migrate. I mentioned that a little earlier. Migrate, it will ask me one more time for a PID. So what's happening? Well, now that I'm running on PID 1100, you saw I just did that. Let's check what we have on the Windows as processes. So for PS, this is my ID 1100, and it's for the payload that has been sent to the victim machine. All right, now if the user opened the task manager and was suspicious about what this executive is doing here, and he shuts it down, by all definition, he's going to just kill my session. It's going to be killed. I don't want to risk that, obviously, so I'm going to need to migrate my Meterpreter session to another ID. Now, one thing I need to tell you, be careful here, because at some point this might cost you a lot. It might crash the Windows system, so the user could face a blue screen at any time when you are trying to migrate the process. You want to migrate your process, your Meterpreter session, to a service that is always running. Do not risk it and migrate to a service that will stop at some time. So, we are going to, let's see, LSS is always running. The service host is always running, but they are stopping and starting again because there are many services host processes here. Okay, so console host is always running as well. Looks like spooler is always running. So you're going to check which one is best for your case. Now, if you're working on a virtual machine, you're going to see the VM tools. VM tools will always be running as well, but sometimes, as you probably know, they crash. So it's really up to you where you want to migrate your system. It's easy. Just migrate and specify the process ID, and really like that, you're done. So let's go ahead and try to migrate to Explorer. Here is the process ID number. You can find it in the beginning. And see here, if I'm going to go up, here is the PID. So the first column is PID. I have the name. I have the session. I have which user it is logged in under, so if I can get to the system, that's perfect. It's now, if it's too risky to get to the system, I get an admin session. That's also fine. So I'm going to try here now to get the service host 2852. So I'm going to be migrating again from 1100 to 2852. Successful. Now let's make sure that the Windows 7 operating system didn't crash. It shouldn't have, because I migrated successfully, but let's just go back and take a look, and well, sure enough, everything seems fine. Now I can see here on the task manager that the payload, which should be RTCP, isn't here anymore. It was killed. So now I'm working on a different service and that payload, and the first payload is not in use anymore. So I'm going to go to my Meterpreter again, and everything looks fine. I'm going to try to get the shell, and I am in C System 32, which is perfect. So everything is fine. Now you can continue to attack whatever you want to. You create directories, download more payloads, backdoors, Trojans, sent here from Metasploit even, or send more Trojans to the victim. Whatever you want, you can now do on your victim machine.
Armitage is a client and server which allows your security team to collaborate. The Armitage client package is available for Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux. Armitage does not require a local copy of the Metasploit framework to connect to a team server. Now, these getting started instructions can really help you to connect to a local instance. Armitage requires the following: a Metasploit framework and its dependencies, a PostgreSQL database, Nmap, and Oracle's Java 1.7.
Right, and just to add to that, you do have a few options through which you can quickly install all of the dependencies that you just talked about. You can use a Linux distribution such as Kali Linux or Pen2 Linux for penetration testing. These distributions are pre-installed with Metasploit, and its dependencies. You can use the Metasploit framework installer script. Now, this is developed by Dark Operator. This option has set up an environment to use Git for updates. You can use the official installer, which you can get from Rapid7. We'll talk a little bit about that. And you have to register with Rapid7 to update this option, so don't forget to do that.
That's right. Okay, if you're installing it manually, after installing Metasploit, you can type apt-get install Armitage. Now, before you can use Armitage, you must start the PostgreSQL database. And this will not start on boot, so you must run this command each time that you restart Kali Linux. Service Postgre start, or PostgreSQL start.
That's right.
That's the service name. Next, you have to start the Metasploit service. Armitage doesn't use the Metasploit service, but if you start it once, then it'll set up a database YAML file for your system. Now, this is a necessary step. You only have to do this once. Service Metasploit start, then service Metasploit stop. Depending on your Metasploit version, Armitage might ask you to update it. So update Metasploit and then enjoy Armitage.